Hey everyone, I'm Keeper Kelsey and I'm here today with our Patagonian Maras, Rocket and Digger. So we're going to tell you guys some fun facts about them. For right now, the only one visible is Rocket. So Rocket is our female Patagonian Mara. She's a little bit more gray than Digger. Digger is a lot more red in color, and if he comes out, you'll be able to see how different they look. So first off, what are these guys? I hear quite often that people think that they look like rabbits or kangaroos or some kind of weird combination of the two. These guys are actually rodents. So they're related to capybara, guinea pigs, rats, and mice. So all of those guys. And they have a lot of features just like all of those animals. So they have teeth that will grow throughout their entire lives. So they'll eat really tough grasses and chew on wood to help wear down those teeth so they don't get too long. So they aren't actually related to rabbits at all, even though they do look a lot like rabbits. And they have ears that kind of look like rabbit ears. Rabbits are actually completely separate from rodents. They are in a family called lagomorph. So they're a little bit different than these guys. And these guys are actually found in Argentina. And they only live in the central and southern portions of Argentina. And it's not actually super warm there like you would think. It does get a little bit colder, so it's actually very far below the equator, which is where it's hottest. So they do get winters and falls there, and they have to deal with a lot of colder weather. So these guys will actually live outside year-round here at Elmwood. They do have this little heated house over here to our left. So this is kind of their little hut. They've got heat panels in there that radiate heat from the ceiling, and they also have a heat pad on the floor, which keeps their little feet warm in the winter. Although a lot of times these guys will just hang out outside and they don't really care about the cold. Their fur is pretty dense and very soft, so kind of almost similar to what you might find on a chinchilla. It'll help keep them warm in those cold days. And these guys typically live in grasslands and brush areas. So they tend to prefer having open space so they can run, which is what they're super good at. They're actually very fast. And these guys spend most of their time eating. So you'll see Rocket over there munching away at her plate. She's actually eating some romaine lettuce. She's got some grain, and she's eating sweet potatoes and carrots. Oh, she's gonna walk away for a minute. So Robin just flew over and it was yelling and it kind of startled her a little bit, but she'll probably come back in a couple minutes. So she's gotta sit over there and make sure there's no danger coming. So in the wild, they do eat a lot of grass. So we do give them hay here, which is dried grass, and they have little tiny hay bags. We attach them to the fence, so they're actually just miniature hay bags like you would find for a horse. And we give them Timothy hay, which they usually really enjoy, and they'll empty both of those bags every single day. So in the wild, they are mostly eating grass, but they also will eat cactuses, seeds, fruits, and flowers if they can find them. So they kind of have a varied diet out in the wild. And here, like I said, they're eating a lot of root vegetables. So we'll give them carrots, sweet potatoes, yams, beets. They get turnips, and then they get a lot of greens here. And we'll give them different greens. We don't just give them romaine lettuce. They'll get red leaf lettuce, green leaf lettuce. Occasionally they get kale. So they have a pretty big variety they'll get here. They also have a special treat today. And they're getting bamboo. So they have bamboo kind of all over the place in here. I've hung some up, put some in a ball. There's some on the fences for them, and they've actually been munching away at that. They love bamboo a lot. It's one of their favorite treats. And bamboo is kind of like a really big version of grass, so it's kind of understandable that they love it. So they also are, here's a big word, they're coprophages. So they eat poop. I know that sounds really gross, and we don't eat our poop, but these guys will actually get some nutrients out of eating their poop, much like a rabbit would. So rabbits also eat their own poop. And then these guys also are a prey animal. So you might have noticed when she heard that bird, she walked away. She gave a little bit more distance from us, and also she has her ears pricked and she's looking around and she's paying attention. So these guys are prey animals in the wild, so it's very important for them to pay attention and make sure there's no predators sneaking up on them. And there are a few animals that will hunt them. So they get hunted by rabbits. It's not rabbits, sorry. I don't know why I was thinking rabbits. Foxes, birds of prey, and a lot of different types of cats. So they also live in the same areas that cougars, jaguars, and ocelots live, which are what we all have here at the zoo as well. So these guys have to watch out for cats, which is kind of why they prefer the open areas. So a lot of the smaller cats, like ocelots that they'd have to worry about, don't really live in the open. They prefer to live in the forested, jungly areas. So they have less predators to worry about out in the open. A super cool thing about these guys is that they're actually monogamous. So that basically just means that a boy and a girl will pair up and live together for their entire lives. So Digger and Rocket will stay together forever until they pass away. They won't change who they hang out with, and Digger will actually keep other boys away from Rocket because he doesn't want anyone else to hang out with her. So these guys also I did mention earlier, they eat all day long and they're always eating grass and watching out for predators. So typically, since they are found in pairs like this, the females spend most of their days eating grass and looking for other fruits and seeds to munch on, while the boys tend to follow them around and watch out for danger. So they keep other boys away from their girlfriend, but they also will help protect them from any predators that may threaten their female. And they will viciously protect their female. So they will attack, if say a fox comes out, they'll attack the fox and keep them away from their girl. And Digger actually just came out to go check on Rocket and see, hey, what's up? So he is very orange compared to her, if you can notice. And he'll probably sit down near her in a minute. So these guys, when they pair up, they typically only have one litter of babies every year. And they can have between 1 and 3 babies at once. And typically what happens is pairs of Patagonian Maras will meet up with other pairs, and they make a little covey, which is just a little group, and then they'll dig a den and have their babies all live in that den together. And then the pairs of Patagonian Maras will take turns going down into their den to take care of the babies. Typically the females, so the other girls, don't like to take care of other females' babies, and they'll only take care of their own babies. But occasionally they will feed babies that aren't their own. And there can be up to 15 different pairs of Patagonian Maras hanging out together at these little coveys. And typically the babies will all stay together and live in and around that little den until they're weaned. So that means they stop drinking milk from their mom. And that happens when they're about 2.5 months old. So they're a little bit far away, so it's kind of hard to see how big they are. But these guys can weigh anywhere from 17.5 pounds up to 35 pounds. So that's pretty heavy. They're about the size of a really, really big house cat, and then a really, really big house cat, or a small dog. And they're about 27 inches long. They're only about 1.5 feet, maybe almost 2 feet tall, so they're not super, super tall. Oh, so Digger just did something really cool. He's actually marking the ground, so it looks like he's dragging his butt. He actually is marking the ground with urine and a scent gland, and that's actually their territorial behavior. So these guys, despite being prey animals and rodents, they do still have territories, and typically they have roaming territories. So basically the boy will follow the girl around wherever she goes, and he makes a little territory around her. And he does this by scent marking, like what you just saw where he was dragging his little butt on the ground. He'll also pee all around on the ground everywhere and let all the other boys know, this is my girl and no one's allowed near her. And they're not moving much, but these guys have some really neat forms of locomotion. So they can walk, hop, gallop, and do this really special type of movement called stotting, and it's S-T-O-T. So that's usually only seen in hoofed animals, and that's when they jump with all 4 feet in the air at once. So these guys will do that when they're excited, but more importantly, if they do see a predator, they'll stot around, and it basically shows off to all the scary animals, don't even bother, I am too fast for you, and I'm very healthy. So it's actually a really easy way for them to show off their fitness and basically just tell all the predators, don't even bother. And then also you may wonder, how else do they get away? If the predators don't leave when they see how amazing these guys are at jumping up into the air, they're going to run away. And they're super, super fast, which is helped by their really big butts and their super long legs. So these guys can run about 18 miles per hour. So that's pretty fast. the fastest person in the world is only about 12 miles an hour. So they can run faster than the fastest person can. And if they do stand up and walk again, you will see their butts are a lot higher than their front legs are. A lot like cougars, actually. And that helps give them the really big, powerful hind legs, which is what they'll use to sprint around in. So I think I did see earlier that we have a couple questions, and I would love to answer them for you guys.
So we did have someone asking what they are called, so if you could go over what species and their names again, just for anyone who joined us a little later.
Yes, so the gray one who's kind of looking at us, that is Rocket. And then the more orangey red one who's laying down is Digger. Rocket's the girl and Digger's the boy. And they are called Patagonian Maras. The other name for them is a cavy. So Patagonian Maras and Patagonian cavies are actually the same animal.
Yeah, we did actually have that question. Janet was asking why they're called cavies at some places and Mara at the other. Is there a reason, or is it just kind of interchangeable?
They're just interchangeable names, so you can call them by either. Here we just call them Patagonian Maras. In some places we'll call them cavies, but they are still the same animal.
So we have someone whose name actually might be Mara, wants to know how old are they and where did they live before coming to Elmwood Park Zoo?
So these guys both came to us from Staten Island Zoo in New York. They used to live indoors with some monkeys, and they're both very close to 8 years old, which isn't too old. In the wild they can live to about 14 or 15 years old, so they're right about middle-aged right now. Digger is a little bit younger than Rocket. He's only younger by a few months though.
All right, Margaret would like to know, do they have other friends at the zoo?
So they do. You probably see all these big sticks and branches that are way up in the air that aren't usable by the Mara because they do not climb. These guys will actually live with our white-faced saki monkeys when it's nice out. Today it's a little bit too chilly and windy for our monkeys, so it's just the Maras out here today. And then when it's really warm in the summer, they'll live out here with Michael the iguana. He probably won't really bother these guys though. He might come down and eat their salad, but they'll probably just ignore each other.
Is there any training that is done with the Mara here at the zoo?
So we have been doing a little bit of training with these guys. As you can see, they're staying very far away from us. So they're a little bit more skittish and they don't really like coming very close to us. So we're still trying to find out what these guys want to eat and what their favorite food is that will make them still want to come over and train with us. So we've gotten them to stand up on a scale before, and we were working on having them sit on little stations or different colored rugs, so that way we can start using that to help train them for other things. But they're not very far along just yet.
Right. Looks like that might be our only questions for right now. Just a reminder, guys, if you catch this episode later on today, not when it's live, and you have questions, you are welcome to put them in the comments and we can come back and answer them at a later time. And of course, if you want to come back and watch any other episodes of Zoo School Live, they are available on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Just check out the Zoo School Live playlists. Any last things you'd like to share about them today, Kelsey?
Not unless there's any other questions, but we'll definitely check back later too to make sure there weren't any other questions about these guys.
And it looks like the sun is coming out, so just a reminder as well, you guys can not only catch us on Facebook, but the zoo is open. And starting this next week, we will be open 7 days a week again. So please come out and stop by and say hi to Rocket and Digger in person. All right, guys, we hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thanks for tuning into Zoo School Live, and make sure you tune in again next Tuesday at 11 a.m.